Okay, I know we were in the middle of the Ruach Chaim, if you recall, talking about the effect of Achila on the Olam HaSelyonim, but I want to round it out, trust me on this one, and move to Nefesh Hachaim, Perek Yud Aleph. Rather Perek Yud. And here we're talking about tefillah, and in other words, again, the subject here is, the subject matter is, how do our actions have an effect on the Olam HaSelyonim? Having an effect on the Olam HaSelyonim is extremely important because, just to introduce and review the concept, the way Hashem created the world was in a cycle form. So it's not just what Hashem does. Of course, what Hashem does, Kol Man David Rachmana, everything that Hashem does, Kol Min HaShamayim. But what happens from Shamayim and what comes here has a lot to do with our actions. The example I always give is that the rain that falls is evaporated from the water here on earth. So the same thing, that it's not that Hashem just does and we're here like receiving, we're also participants. You find in Chazal a lot of lashonos of Kol Hadon Din Emes Lamitoy Nasa Shutuf La Kadosh Baruch Hu B'Maisa Bereishis. So interesting language. If a person's a dayan and you're dan din emes la'amitoy, so you become a shutaf to Kadosh Baruch Hu, a partner. Or it's not. What is it? Not that you're just doing Hashem's will. You're dan din emes la'amitoy. You're doing Hashem's will. It's a different concept here. You're a shutaf la'Kadosh Baruch Hu in what? In the Maisa Bereishis. What does shutfus mean? Shutfus means I'm doing my part, you're doing your part, and together we're creating a business over here. That's what a shutuf is. The Maisa Bereishis is the ongoing creation of the world, requires obviously HaKadosh Baruch Hu creating the world, and that's how the world was created, and also there's another piece to the shutfus here, and that is our action. So I'm skipping to this to bring out this yesod itself, that what we eat, for instance, what we do, the mitzvahs that we do, the actual actions that we do, have, not only are we doing the right thing or the wrong thing, I have a sense of right, do I have a sense of wrong, but they're actually affecting everything that's going on in the Shemayim, and therefore whatever's going on in the Shemayim is affecting everything that's going on here on earth, right? You with me? That's the, and here, Nefesh Hachaim, what we learned in the beginning of Shaar Beis is we talked a lot about the words Baruch Atah, and we defined what does it mean, Baruch Atah. Remember, we spent a long time. What do we have to give Hashem brachos for? Right. So Nefesh Hachaim explained that it's a lashon brecha atah, that you're an overflowing. But here he's going more kipshutai. We do have to give Hashem brachos in a sense. Shepirusha hi toisefes riboy bracha v'shefa. Bracha v'shefa meaning bracha means the abundance. Shaykh zois hakavana el shagam b'chol teva v'teva. Every single word mikol nusach hatfila, from everything that we daven, shaykh gam kein zois hakavana hakadosha. This is also part of that. Ki kol teva ve'atfila. Because every word of tefillah or bracha, he ha'oila lamala mala al yedei mari kolin v'gatfin denatla, according to from Malachim that take it up. We say this in Uvalotzian. We say u'makablin dein v'dein v'amrim kaddish mishmei meroi me'lah beish chinta. That we say a word of tefillah, a malach grabs it. And the Malach takes it. Now the Malach are the worker bees of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's what Malachim are. So they're taking the words that we're creating. This becomes the raw material for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's creation, And that's actually what's going on in this world. So this is not just what we do, and it's not just like we're doing a good thing or a bad thing, or we're behaving ethically or not ethically, or halachically or not halachically. We're actually changing the Shemayim. There's a way to do it. There's a way to change the Shemayim. Like, it's hard. We don't know how to make it rain or to make it stop raining. Or we try, I think. Indians do rain dances, scientists do their thing. Yeah. Choni Amagel. What tefillah? Kichol teva me'atfila oishel eza bracha hi ha'oila lamala mala al yedei mari klin v'gat fin denatala lifo pulasa. The word itself does its thing. B'sharsha elyain in its higher sharish hamiyuchad la. V'hu nasa b'zeh kiviyachol, and that's what it means to become a shutaf shel yoitzer breishis. Do you know, the Zohar says at the beginning of Breishis that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, he created it with oisios. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, the oisios. The oisios formed in the way of Torah. The letters themselves became the instrument, or the raw material of creation. So oisios are, what does that mean? The oisios are the beginning of articulation. Like, you can't just talk, and you have to know the alphabet, but you can't talk alphabet unless you're a baby. Like, if you want to speak articulately, so you have to put all of these oisios together. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the world. The Tchilas HaBriya is with oisios, and the oisios form words, which form sentences, which form paragraphs, which form a world. The same oisios that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings from high to low are the same type of oisios that we have to bring from low to high. Understand what's happening when we're davening here? We're taking the oisios, we're articulating oisios, Lashon HaKodesh, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us this tool. We're putting them together in words into sentences into paragraphs, and we're creating a bria. So just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu's creating a creation here through letters, we're taking words, our words, and we're creating, evaporating them to the Shemayim, and now the cycle continues and the world becomes a different place. That's a shutaf. So we find, by the way, this language in many, many places. Like I said before, anybody who's helping another person, osa chesed. If you're doing chesed, it says you're a shutaf HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Monsey, in the Yoitzer Breishis. It's all shutfus. Understand our livnois v'lintaya kama v'kama oilamis. We're building these worlds. Mashikasa b'tikunim, and you find this idea in the Zohar, Tikun Yud Ches Lamed Hey Beis. Kad barnash apik havolim v'diburim b'tzlusei. When a person releases havolim, just breath, and words, b'tzlusei, in his davening, kama oifin pischin gadfayu. How many? It means malachim. How many birds open their wings? Upumimu l'kabala line, and they make themselves ready to accept these words. As I said, mekablan dein ben dein, v'amrim kaddish b'shmei mereima. Adahu d'chsiv ki oif hashamayim yoylech es hakol u'bal knafayim. Rav Shlomo HaMelech said that he's talking. The Pashat of Pshat in Shlomo HaMelech is you got to be careful what you say, even if you're in a private place and you think nobody's listening. Oif hashamayim yoylech es hakol. So the Gemara brings a pasuk. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was very, very careful what he spoke to Antoninus when he spoke to the Romans. Who knows who's listening? But the deeper pshat in Shlomo HaMelech is ki ofa shemayim yolech es hakol, that malachim will take your kol and bring it up to shemayim. Ofa shemayim yolech es hakol. Ofa shemayim, right? That's different. It's even a more pashat pshat than the pashat pshat. Ofa shemayim yolech es hakol. Natal kutshabrichu, says the Zohar, inun milin ubani behind alman. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take these words and build with it a world. The itmar behind it. On this, Yeshayahu said, "Ki kasher shamayim hachadoshim va'aretz hachadosha." that the Shemayim is constantly being renewed, and therefore the earth is also, always being renewed. There Yeshayahu says, I will give you the words in your mouth, lintaya shamayim, in order to create creations in the shamayim. V'leimar l'tzion ami ata al tikre ami imi. It says in the Yeshayahu says that he will say to Tzion, that's us, the Tzionim, ami ata, you are my nation. So the Gemara says, Al tikra ami imi b'shutafi. It's not ami, my people, but imi, with me. Bishutafi is a partner. So, okay, so this is a game changer, because you always think of tefillah or a bracha as something you got to do, because it's only correct to say thank you. Or it's correct, Hashem wants you to ask, say please. So say please, say thank you, that's davening. Bracha Rishona, bracha Achrona. To appreciate, it's all true. It's all important to appreciate and to thank but there's something else going on here. Besides for being a good human being and expressing appreciation, there's a job here that needs to be done, and if the job is not done, the world won't work. The design of the world is such. Terem yikra ha'adam, the grass didn't grow, Rashi says, until Adam davened. So it's not the omek hadavar is that if Adam doesn't daven, it's a short circuit. It's a short circuit. There's a circle here, and the circuit is shorter. V'hamaskil yavin midaite. So now, according to this, says Nefesh Hachaim, everybody can understand all by themselves. Shaloi l'tzchinam hutzricha l'tikun tzchina ketana utfila ketzara kazu kuf chaf zekenu mehem kama naviyim. The Gemara tells us in Megillah that when it came time to designing and writing the Shemona Esrei, this is a small, you can look at it as a relatively small piece of poetry. It took 120 Zekanim, amongst them many Nevi'im, because we need to understand that the words of the Shemona Esrei, the Nevi'im, and the Zekanim, that means the Zekanim means the Anshe Knesset Gdola, had to come and to figure out the effect of every single word and every single letter and every single word. It's so important to pronounce things correctly. If you can, if you say something wrong, you can say, well, I mean, Hashem understands. For sure, He understands. But who knows what it's doing in the Olam B'Sol Yonim? So, why does it take 120 Anshe Knesset Hagdola to write a Shemona Esrei? Ela shehema hisigu beruach kodsham. And by the way, the usual answer and the usual understanding of this, before we read what he says, is that in the Gemara says this, in the words of Shemona Esrei that the Anshe Knesset Hagdola put together, lies every need and every kavanah that a person could ever have. So the godless of the Shemona Esrei is like a deeply psychological advantage, if that's the right word, that when you're davening Shemona Esrei, whatever is bothering you that day, whatever you need that day, even if it wasn't invented yet 2,000 years ago in the Anshe Knesset Hagdola, it's there in the words. You'll find in the words. That's the usual pshat, the emes pshat. But he's saying here something else also, that Hema hisigu beruach kodsham v'hasagas nevuasam hal yoina. They understood something about what is needed to fuel the shamayim. You needed the Anshe Knesset Hagdola, and you needed prophets, you needed Nevi'im, to be able to understand what does the shamayim need to be fed now. In other words, Hashem created this intricate design of shamayim va'aretz connecting to each other like a rain cycle. So now you needed, who knows what's needed. So just like we said in Parak Vav and Parak Zayin, that everything we do affects the Shemayim. Everything we say affects the Shemayim. And that's how they came up with these words. So I want to point something out here, that there's something very special about davening the tefillos of the Anshe Knesset Agdola, davening our tefillos. You would think that, two things really. First of all, you would think that, okay, I'm supposed to have kavanah, and Chazal gave me the words. That's like have kavanah, right? Rachmana liba boy. And you see from here, it's the other way around. We see that Chazal gave us the words, and now we should have kavanah. It's I've been wondering for years, is there any advantage at all to davening without kavanah? And I never, somebody has no idea what he's saying. Is there any a Tillim Zogger saying Tillim? Is there any? Even Talmidei Chacham don't know what it says in the Tillim, and even if they know, they don't think about it while they're saying the Tillim. So unless you say like really yeshiva, Shir Amalois, it gives you time to think it through, But
you don't have an answer.
The answer is here. That the answer is here. That I was thinking, years ago, I think maybe the Gulf War. So I was living in America, so we said Tillim. So everybody said Tillim. So we said Tillim for the Jews in Eretz Yisrael. So I led that Tillim the first day in my shul. So I led it with the niggin that I grew up with, Shir Amalois Mimamakim. And there was an older Jew there in the shul who hardly ever said a word, but an older Jew, was like a retired, maybe he was about 85, 90 years old. He used to sit with a minchas chinuch all day. And he was a Talmud of Chachmei Lublin. He was actually a Talmud of Rav Meir Shapiro, Chachmei Lublin, which was a very interesting yeshiva. I think a role model yeshiva. There should be a yeshiva like that today. But that's a different discussion. So he came to me after the Tillim. He never said anything, never criticized, never complimented. He was just there. And after I said the Tillim, he said, wrong. He says, the Rosh Yeshiva had gesagt, as Rabbi Shapiro said, that you should never say Tehillim with that niggin except for on Yom Kippur. Because the niggin itself is a Messiah from generations, and it's Ma'ir Dinim. And if you want, right now you want to have Rachamim, so on Yom Kippur, so it's only Chesed, there's no Midas Adin on Yom Kippur, it's only Midas Harachamim, so on Yom Kippur you say that niggin. Like this you don't do the niggin. So I said, but it's Ma'ir Kavanah, so he told me that's the problem. He says the Kavanah is Ma'ir Dinim because it's like this. This is what he explained to me. I've been like struggling with this for years. He says if you just say the words, this is so not only counterintuitive, but counter anything that I would think. If you just say the words, so the words are the words of David HaMelech, and they're going up to the Shemayim and they're doing their thing. Just say the words. When you mix in your kavanah and your nigunim and all of your pieces, now you're changing the recipe. It's a different shalot at this point. And now you can be Ma'ir Dinim, you can be Ma'ir Rachamim. You have to know what you're doing. And you have to know when to do it. So he said the problem is that you see the Gerach Hasidim, they dafka daven fast. Dafka is like don't get your own machshavas even involved with it. Like it's an interesting. It's not. But what I'm saying now is very not yeshivish, not yeshivish. But it's an interesting thing. If I was right, just to say that, is there a value to words without kavanah? Could be more value. Pure, it's clean. Yeah, you have to have some kind of connection there. Yeah. There's a Gemara that says that every single morning the Tarnagolos gives out Gemara Brachos gives out a call. The Tarnagol, rather, gives out a call, and in that call, he's saying that the Tarnagolos, his wife, is very, very beautiful. This is the Gemara. And every morning, that's the Kol HaTarnagol that tells the Tarnagol is very, very beautiful. So Reb Chaim Volozhin in his beautiful Sichos Musar, he says, every morning the same thing. Like it becomes a little bit, okay. Like it doesn't have any meaning. So Reb Chaim Volozhin in his, inimitable way says, Torah says, yes, it has meaning. That's like it's, if you're going to go and try to be mefarish the word, good morning, hello, how are you? You're going to try to go be mefarish it could be you're going to ruin it. Like, better just leave it the way it is. There are certain hanhagas of dibur in this world, and those hanhagas of dibur are at work. just leave it alone. You look at all the formalities of the governments and the courts and royalties. There's a certain formality. It just works. Don't change the. This is an important yesod. I just wanted because we need to balance what we're doing here with kavanah, not kavanah, but Rav Nutter Greenblatt. Rav Nutter Greenblatt, right? So he is the Adam Chashav, Adam Gadol. So he's probably the biggest Masader Gittin in the whole United States of America. Talmud of Rav Moshe Feinstein travels from city to city, and he's Masader Gittin, an expert of experts. Maybe he does 30, 40 Gittin a month, I would imagine. There's no based and nobody that does as many Gittin as him, an expert. Very, very nice man, interesting man, down-to-earth man, with a sports jacket and a little goatee, and that's a Talmud Chacham Nifla. But I remember he came once to Buffalo when I was there, and the person getting divorced was a professor of the English language, and so Nata said to him, "Okay, repeat after me. I hereby divorce you, my wife." He says, "I hereby divorce you, my wife, with this instrument of divorce." This is the way the Lashon goes. With this instrument of divorce, especially for me, especially for you, means l'shmi l'shma, and especially for the sake of a get. So the fellow changes and he says, "Especially for me, especially for you." What kind of English is that? Right? Especially me, especially for you. So the person changes. This professor changes. It means with you in mind, with me in mind, with the get in mind, whatever he said. And I had never saw this. Dr. Greenblatt was very, he stood up from the table. He says, "Either you're going to do exactly the words that I say, or get out of here." You can't argue with Shakespeare. That was his language. Especially for me, especially for you. It was causing such pain to this professor to say the words from Dr. Greenblatt. This is a Messiah that he had already for years and years and years. He checked with Rav Moshe Feinstein. He translated it from the Yiddish, whatever. However it came this Messiah, you don't mess with the words. And it made me think the words of tefillah are created by the Anshe Knesset Hagdola. The first you said, it could be that the words of, again, this is the lumdus here. It's not that I have a machshava and I'm trying to articulate it to Hashem. Oh, thank you, Hashem. I love you, Hashem. Yeah, no, that's not what it is. That's good. But what we're talking about in the Shemoneh Esrei is I have my words. Probably I should understand my words, and then the kavanah I put in behind the words to push them, and here you have to be sure that your kavanah is good. But you definitely don't change the words. You definitely can't. That's for sure. You can't change the words, and it's yitachein that the words have a koach even without any kavanah at all. Could be. That's point one. Point two I wanted to make is that you could do mitzvahs, you could daven. Two things that we humans do. But there's a big difference between them. Because when we do mitzvahs, we're doing the Ratzon Hashem. You put on tefillin, you put on tzitzis, etc. When we daven, of course, you're doing the Ratzon Hashem, but it's something different also. It's the Anshe Knesset Hagdola that made up these words. This did not come down from Shemayim like don't eat chazer. This was something that mamish came from us. So, like part of the godless of davening Shemoneh Esrei is b'diyuk this, that 120 zakenim came together and they created this tefillah. This is really our participation in the shutfus with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's possible that davening and tefillah, the matbeya, listen to the Lashon of the Gemara, matbeya shetavu chachamim bibracha. You're not allowed to change the matbeya shetavu chachamim. Don't argue with Shakespeare, right? Matbeya shetavu chachamim lahavdil. But bibracha means that this is something that we created, and they created with all their ruach hakodesh, with all their. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mechavev those words specifically because you're not just doing what I tell you, which is very, very important, but you're creating something and you're giving it to me. And that's so much more meaningful. That's what he's saying over here.
What about additions of changes of languages? Davening the whole Hashem, coming stuff in it.
It's very b'diavad, yes? Like, in other words, is it better if you daven with more kavanah in English? Is it better to daven in English than to daven in Hebrew if you can daven in Hebrew? It's for sure better to daven in Hebrew. It's for sure better to daven in Hebrew. So now glance over to the English and you know what you're saying. Mr. Brewer says this, yeah. It's for sure better because it's the words of, first of all, the translation, as good as it is, as art-scrollian as it is not going to be exactly what Chazal meant. But you don't have the chachma of Chazal in any other language. It's very b'diavad. Ad kedei kach, I remember my own family or somebody wanted to daven about Shuvah and he couldn't read, an older man. And he had an idea. He refused to daven in English. He had somebody standing next to him and telling him every word of how to say it. He paid somebody to say every word. Not somebody who was davening anyway. The word Baruch, Baruch, just want to daven in Lashon HaKodesh.
How do you mechanech a child today?
So you would think that the chinuch that we're doing is a reverse chinuch because you're being mechanech a kid to daven without any kavanah, right? Just say the words, but the answer is that the words themselves have a value. That's exactly what we're learning here. That the words themselves have a value. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have kavanah. I'm just saying to understand that the words have a value. Because of the who made them and what they mean in every letter of the words. That's so important. But also there are words. They're the words of the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah. This is really a carbon that we are bringing. It's ours. That's the whole thing. We're not just doing what you want. We're doing something. We're taking an initiative, and that's the beauty of it.
Zohar. Zohar.
Also, they say, Kach Omrim. Start with Tillim. El Shehem Yisigu Baruch Kachem Vasagas Nevasam El Yono Nehirul and Shvilun Dechol Sidre Bereshis Apirke Amarkava. They saw the whole Shemayim with their Ruach HaKodesh, with their Nevuah, the Chazal. And that's how the Shemona Esrei was created. V'lozais Yistu V'tiknu Matbeya Brachais. They came out with the words, the nusach of the tefillah. V'atefillah be'elo hatevos dafki. So this nusach, that nusach. What's the difference? The difference is, what did the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah say? What is the correct way? What a beautiful language. This is the Yitzira of Shemona Esrei from what they saw and they understood. What light, particularly what light, very sophisticated, what light each letter of the Aleph Beis will give out until they came to these words. Asher hi nitzreches ma'oid latikun riboy olamais v'koiches al yoida v'sidra merkava. Here's a pretty big statement. Without those tefillos, the world could not be Mekayim. You can't have. Nothing is going to happen. This is Hashem could do whatever he wants, but this is what he wants. He wants the design of it is that whatever he's going to bring down is going to start from here. Yisarusa de l'sati, Yisarusa de l'eila. So that's exactly what he wants. So the world simply won't work. Ha'avoida tzairach gavoya. This is the pshat the Gemara Shabbos. K'may Barab ha'avoida tzairach gavoya. So now we can understand. Gemara Yavamas, Rashi and Chumash. Chazal say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mis'avel l'tfilasan shel tzadikim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is waiting with taiva for the tfilos of tzadikim. Why? Why is he waiting for the tfilos of tzadikim? Tzadik wants something, daven for it. I'll grant you your wish. Your wish is my command. Why is he mis'avel l'tfilos? Because until the tzaddik is davening, he's holding up the whole works. The whole cycle is not working. Hello, can somebody daven? I have some bracha here to release. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu Misavet, and the Gemara says on this, Tanchuma Parsha told us, Lama Nisakru Ha'imahos, why were the Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, why was it so difficult for them to become pregnant? Amar Rabbi Levi, so Rabbi Levi says, Shaya Kadosh Baruch Hu Misavel Tfilasa. A taiva, like here's a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to give bracha into the world. What's the bracha? Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu. These were the brachas that we're talking about. Shivtei Ka. He wants to give this bracha into the world, but he can't because there's a clog here. It's stuck. So you need to. As soon as Avraham Avinu died, this is what Atachas Elokim Anochi. Right?
It's also nice why Avraham Avinu was caught on the start of all the doors before him because no one was dominant properly. Came along and he stole that property.
Moshe is saying, Nakuda Nifla, that Reb Tzaddik points this out, that a kavana, a tefillah without kavana, so it's really the same thing. First, a dab is without kavana at all, meaning you just misasik, without kavana, so it doesn't have its effect. In other words, words have an effect, but you have to have kavana of dalif lemiato oimed. If I just say words and I have no kavana, I'm just saying words, but it also doesn't disappear. Reb Tzaddik brings from the Zohar, it stays in a holding pattern, in a holding tank. And when you daven once with kavana, it releases all of those words. You feel sometimes, I just had kavana. You can feel, you can shake with the kavana. You can, and that's what you're feeling there. The electricity you feel sometimes is that hundreds of tefillas below kavana were just released into the Shemaim. Not only that, it says all the generations before you, the daven without kavana, they're all standing there. So I think it was a mitzvah shaloi lishma. All the mitzvah shaloi lishma, they stay in this holding pattern, never get lost. You do one mitzvah lishma, you open up the door, it could all go up. About you're redeeming generations of mitzvahs. So, but again, you see the power of the word is that it stays there. It stays there. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu's misavel l'tfilasin shel tzadikim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it wasn't like ruthless. HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not give Rivka or Sarah children until somebody davens for it, because that's the way the world works. And you are the avos. You need to daven. Ubezayar Toldos Kuf Lamed Zayin Amid Aleph. You find in the Zayar in Toldos. That's that same parsha. Tochazi. Take a look. Esrin Shnin Ishtoi Yitzchak Imitzei V'Loyalidas. For 20 years, Yitzchak was with his wife, and they did not conceive. Ad Tzalik Tzlusa. All it took was a Shemona Esrei. It's hard to say that he didn't daven the whole time, but of course he davened. But he figured, I'm imagining, if Hashem wants to give me children, he'll give me children. Was waiting for its tefillah. Begin to kuchabricha Yisrael but susa de tzadikaya. And that's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the tefillahs of tzadikim. My taima, why? Begin to Yisrabe v'yatosif rabbis kudsha, because what that does is it refuels and it resupplements the shemayim. L'chol man ditzarech, and that will go for everybody now. B'tzlusa de tzadikaya. Beautiful Zohar. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's hard to say, but in other words, a tzaddik sometimes will have a tsar, and the purpose of the tsar is that he should daven, because when he davens, it changes things in Shemayim, and now the whole earth changes, even people that didn't daven. So the tzaddik is bringing down, creating a cycle, which is bringing down bracha to everybody. So beautiful, the Lashon. Tefillah, says the Gemara, brachas dvarim ha'oimdim berumah shalaylam, usually means who can understand the words of tefillah. No. Oimdim berumah shalaylam means your tefillah is standing in Shamayim doing its work. Hainu shadvarim atzmam, the words, heim tevois hatefillah, I'm the Barum Ha'al Yainim. Like the words themselves are standing there. It's alive. You could forget that you daven. You walk around that I daven, that I not daven, but the words are there. So when you start to think about this, like bracha levatala, what is that? Bracha shein etzricha. Too much, too many words. Zman tefillah. What's the importance of Zman Tefillah is because there are certain Zmanim that this is the correct thing to do to affect the Shemayim so that it'll rain down bracha into this world. A certain Zman. This is the correct Zman. Davar bi toy ba toy. It's not always right to talk. It's got to be the right time.
Where does the Hazal better a little with Kavanah than a lot without Kavanah?
Slichus. Slichus, the Shulchan Aruch, it says, and when it comes to Slichus, asking forgiveness from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's not tefillah. The Slichus number, it says in Shulchan Aruch, Toy Ma'at Be'Kavanah Me'harbe B'loi Kavanah. It goes for Slichus, it goes for Tachanunim.
But not for tefillah.
Not for Shemon Esrei. We never heard that you should say half of Shemon Esrei because it's better with Kavanah. Half of Kriya Shema. By Kinois, so here in the shul, the big oilam comes to say Kinos together, explain the Kinos. So I made a cheshbon that instead of saying 40 Kinos without kavanah, let's do 20 and understand what we're saying. But Kinos apparently have no mila at all. If you don't understand, I looked in Svarim to say Kinos has no mila. Because the whole idea of a Kinos vayikoinen is to feel the avelos. The truth is, growing up, I always mentioned this on Kiddush, I always thought that just saying Kinois and not knowing what I was saying, that was part of the Shaar, the Avelus. It has to be painful. Okay, you're sitting on the floor, you're not eating, and you're saying things you have no idea what you're talking about. So, but I don't think that's right. So there you could say Toiv Ma'at Be'Kavanah Mehar B'Bloi Kavanah, and I wasn't sure if I was right because this was very radical. I was one of the first people that condensed the Kinos to. I mean, we say Kinos longer than everybody else, but we say less Kinos with Asper, and I asked Gedolim if this is correct or not correct, and it was a very good idea. Very good idea. They're going to do some Psuke de Zimra, so it's very b'diavad to the only heter to skip in Psuke de Zimra, but you have to say some Psuke de Zimra. You can't say Krishna without Psuke de Zimra, but the only heter to skip is Tefillah b'tzibur, Tefillah b'zmanah. So okay, Chazal understood the halachas, but what I'm saying is every halacha fits in to what's going on in the Shemayim.
You can say them fast or without kavanah.
Would seem you should say them fast.
You should say them fast.
It would seem. As long as you have the basic kavanah. So tefillah is dvarim ha'imdim beruma shel olam. Hainu sha'advarim atzmam heim tevos hatefillah. I'm just thinking what you said before, like if the Anshe Knesset Agdola came together and figured out every word of tefillah, so what does it mean to daven in English? You're not saying their words. I'm not saying it's without, it's got to be very b'diavad. You're not saying their words. You're not necessarily even saying, even if you'll say a translation of the words, you see in the tour every bracha of Shemon Esrei. He tells you the gematria of Rifa'enu, tells you how many letters are in it. It's all like so sophisticated, so somebody comes along and it's very sophisticated, like you're standing there with the keyboard to the nuclear reactor, this should work.
So Shem Hashem within each bracha, you're not saved, you're saying.
Yeah, everything.
To add in a few words that are added in Svarim, so like no.
You have to stick with your minhag because of this, it's your minhag. So it's min hashamayim, the year from the shevet that has that minhag. So you can't go floating in nuschais.
What about Kaddish?
Kaddish is also part of tefillah. It's also part of the Anshe Knesset Agdola. Not everything is.
What
But
if you say the word so fast that you're not conducting the sound?
Excellent point. I saw in the Reishis Chachma, he says that if somebody swallows a word, right, swallow a word, which is very, very common, does nothing. It does nothing. The word has to go in front of the Kisei HaKavod and push the button that it has to push. So this is so people wonder over here why I'm so medayik on people when they daven for the Amud. It's not that I'm so frum, because I'm not, but it's the words are to swallow a word, to go quick a word, to have two words run into each other. This ruins the whole effect. As I saw in the Reishis Chachma, by the way, also he says gam b'tfilah v'gam b'limud. That when you're learning, like it's also wrong. Every word of learning, every word of Gemara apparently has an effect in Shemayim. Kedekach, Torah Shebal Peh. B'Zayar Vayakel, let's just finish quickly. B'Zayar Vayakel, Slusa de Barnashiu Pulchana de Rucha. That when a person davens, this is the avodah of your ruach. Oh, and here we're getting cool. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. The avodah you do with the certain avodah you do with your nefesh. That's what we learned last week. Your nefesh, you eat. The certain avodah you do with your ruach, and certain avodah you do with your neshama. The avodah of ruach is the avodah of tefillah, pulchana de rucha. Those good words. Pulchana de rucha. I kaima barazani law. And it's all based on very deep secrets. And the people don't realize. The people don't realize how their tefillah breaks open the shamayim. Bikas rikiyan opens up the avirin, opens up the rikiya. Pasach, paschas, pischin, v'salka la'ela can break through. They're breakthrough. Davening words are breakthroughs into the shamayim. V'ayin. Noirois, look in all these Nubar Makaimas and Zara. Noirois niflois Indian alias ko mila o mila ditsalusa. Every word of tefillah. Ubreish parshas ve'eschana no b'shaita ditsalusa kaima kolina milan da'afik barnash mipume ba'hutzlusa ulasolkan la'ela b'kain rikin. The thing is like this. I just want to make this last. Ub'shas elu, that when you daven, all the words that a person, this is what the Zayar says, comes out of his mouth, everything goes up and breaks through rikiyas. That's the lashon here. I just want one caveat here, just before we leave, that the words, this is Svarim I'll say, and we'll learn it here also in the Nefesh Hachaim, words have to be done b'kedusha v'tara. More important, I think, even more important than understanding the kavanah of every word. It's beautiful to understand, it's very meaningful. Is the tahara in which we say the words, because the tahara gives the word the koach that it gives. I'll tell you what I mean. I was driving from Yerushalayim last week, and same wedding. I was driving from Yerushalayim. Yeah, it was an exciting drive. So I was like a little tired. So I opened the radio. I don't know. My mom never listens to the radio in the car. It just doesn't do anything for me, but I was just looking for some kind of a talk show, the news, where we bombed today. I was just trying to, so I opened the radio. So I opened up to Shaar Shel Kabbalah, the Kabbalah hour. I have no idea what. Okay, I woke up, it was interesting, and I have no idea who. You call in with your problems, and there's a makubal there, and he tells you what to do. It was nice. So Shaar Shel Kabbalah. So they call in. It was a makubal. It wasn't somebody I ever heard of. Never heard of him, but that doesn't mean anything. So he was calling up, like I don't know what to do. Every time I come home, my wife's arguing with me. I'm arguing with my wife. Arguing with us. Arguing with that. So he said to look. As soon as you come home, light a candle. You should light a candle, and the candle will take away the bad energy from that. It was going on and on. It was actually quite nice. Make sure you light the candle. You kind of light it 7 days a week. There should always be a candle. You don't have to tell your wife about the candle. You can just tell her it's a narei chani. It doesn't have to be like you don't have to make a big deal about it. He's going on and on. Somebody's a business problem. You do this and that. And he was saying that you have to call me and I'll give you a kameya, and he'll write the Shem Hashem on it, and they'll do all of this. Anyway, it was pretty interesting. I'm listening to all these Kabbalistic pieces of advice, and Dafka, like one of the callers into the show was Rami Levy.
Really?
Yeah, Rabbi. I mean, I don't know really. He said he was Rabbi Levi, and everybody seemed to believe that he was Rabbi Levi. And he wanted to say, he says, I just want to say, I'm just getting on the phone to say how much he helped me in my business, and I listened to what he says, and helped me, and my business grew. Al Pi Kabbalah, I was struggling, and so okay, that was interesting. So so I get home. I'm just who is this Makubal? At the time, I remembered his name. Who is this Makubal? Let's go. Let's find out who this Makubal is. So so I Googled it. So he's got a website. All right away. Like the truth is, I have a website too, but it's not but it doesn't make you completely puzzle yet. But it was kind of weird. So this is a picture of this Makubal. As soon as you go in, so it's this guy wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a ponytail and no yarmulke. he's the Makubal. He's in his website he's a business consultant, Al Pi Kabbalah, and he's got a little video at the beginning where he's interviewed on TV of how he does this. He says in the video that he used to be a Haredi. That's how he knows how to write the Kameyas so well, but really. But I'm thinking to myself, like. It was just I was shocked by this. Like sometimes a voice doesn't have anything to do with the picture. I was just like shocked by what I was seeing here, and I don't have anything against the guy. Maybe he's I don't know. I can't knock the guy. All I'm saying is that you would think you should wear a yarmulke. I think if you're giving out Kabbalistic eitzes, you should at least wear a yarmulke. Everything else I could live with. It's like, no yarmulke. But what I'm saying is that the words that he's telling people to say, and the eitzes of Shem Hashem, and take the Shem Hashem and put it on under your pillow when you go to sleep at night. These things require, besides for like the know-how or maybe some tips from your great grandfather in Morocco, but besides for all that, those things might have some truth, but it needs tahara. It needs kedusha. Without tahara, and you'll see in all the svarim that without tahara, those things they're empty. They're empty words, and they could even be mazik. So the tzaddikim and the gedolim always understood. The first thing is tahara. The kohanim went to the mikvah before they did these things. It requires tahara. So davening requires tahara. That's all I'm saying. Davening requires tahara more than it requires the kavanah. The taharas halev. I'm making myself, and I'm saying right now I'm going to do something which is going to change the olam hasoyonim, which is going to in turn change the olam hasatachtonim, and it might not even land here, and it might not land here now. The bracha might land someplace in America or Ethiopia or who knows where, but it's going to make a difference. And what we need to learn, this is what we learned over here. We're a shutaf with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A shutaf, you need to be a shutaf tahor. Shutaf needs to have some tara, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu's tara. You have to be a partner. So the partnership has to. We have to recognize the koach of the tefillah. What? So he's going from here from tefillah to limud. That's where we're going. I believe so. More than the you have to understand what the Torah represents. What does the Torah represent? Sincerity.
So that's what Hasidim say. It's fine. You don't say the words correctly. Hashem understands.
At least be Torah. So the idea is say the words correctly. Be the right. That's the chesed. Then there's the gavra, which is tahar, and then there's the kavanah, which is the third thing. So machshava dibur ma'aseh. But the words can have an effect if they're b'tara.